How was your first night boondocking?
It's good. It cooled off nicely.
That's what happens in retirement. You forget what days it is. So, and we're down to 37%. It was cloudy all day yesterday, so we got no sun. On this screen right here, I made just an example of a typical Airstream rainwater harvesting. So rainwater hits the roof, goes down through the gutter system, and refills a rain barrel. That's exactly what solar panels do for your battery. I want the fridge to be right in that refrigerator zone, which is a pretty small window. On the screen here, I'm going to put up a diagram that I made recently, and it talks kind of about battery, solar, what runs on what. And I have been carrying our special edition branded 13 Adventures knife on me for over a month now. I want to give you one.
Do you want to go outside? Run around under the sunlight. I'm seeing you smile. We can go until the nighttime. Let's go outside.
What are you doing there?
Going on my first hot and humid run in Florida.
Oh yeah? How was your first night boondocking?
It's good. It cooled off nicely. Except for the airplanes that flew over at 11 and 11:05.
I missed them.
And it's foggy out, so we heard the fog horns of whatever was on the bay at like 6:30.
Yep.
Not bad.
And then our fan quit working because of the humidity.
Yep.
I'm going to show everybody what the microwave pulls.
I'm probably going to have to do it twice.
So 1,500 watts pulling right now. 80 of that is from our T-Mobile and a few other things plugged in. Blair thought it was going to drain the battery big time, but it's not.
It might. Just might.
So something I haven't used in quite a while is the DC to DC charger. As you just saw, our battery's down to like 37%. We've been boondocking for today's day 4, I believe, maybe day 5. 4 nights and 5 days, I think is where we're at now. That's what happens in retirement. You forget what days it is. So, and we're down to 37%. It was cloudy all day yesterday, so we got no sun on the solar panels. And today it's like, half cloudy, 50%. So I'm getting some sun on the solar panels. The way we're parked, that side of the trailer gets plenty of sun. This side of the trailer gets very little sun just at the angle of the roof. And I still have a portable panel out here, but I'm getting plenty that way. But I got the DC to DC charger hooked up, and we're going to see what. I haven't done it in a long time, so I'm just going to check on that system, and I'll show you what it does. So with the DC to DC charger hooked up, you can see right here, I've got DC power, almost 300 watts going from DC power into the battery. I'm still getting 200 watts of solar right now. That does not include the portable panel. That's only on the roof. Of my 400 watts total up on the roof, I'm getting 200 right now. And you can see what's going in. So I got DC coming in, DC power coming in. That's coming from the Servo GX coming into the battery box. So running the microwave for a couple of minutes lost me 2% battery, so not a big deal. The day we arrived here, it was pretty warm in the day, and we had a 12-pack of soda that was warm, and we put it in the fridge, so that took a lot of juice to cool the fridge all the way down and cool those sodas down. And we didn't put the fridge in night mode the first night, so it ran all night. So some of our battery drain has come from the fridge. The rest has come from the fans. We've had the bathroom, shower, and main fan running pretty much 24/7 since we've been here. And cooking, cooking takes propane, but very little. Water heater running and water pump running, and what TV we've watched. So that's where the power that we've drained from the batteries come from. And it was cloudy most of yesterday, and it's over 50% cloudy right now. So we're not getting super sun on the roof. But the refrigerator's probably been our main draw, and it pulls 6.8 amps per hour per compressor. So over 13 amps power getting pulled per hour from the fridge when the compressors are running. When it's cold, it stays pretty cold and they don't run that much. But getting it cold after driving all day long and putting warm foods in there, to get them down to temperature took some time. So that's where the most of the energy draws come from. On this screen right here, I made just an example of a typical Airstream and what people have in it and things like that. So top left here, just an AGM battery absorbed glass mat. So it has, just for example, 200 amp hours of AGM batteries, 100 amp hours each. AGM batteries are usable for 50% of their power, because after 50%, you start killing battery cells, and it's not good for the battery. So with a 200 amp system like this, you would have 100 amp hours of usable energy before you started damaging things. The other thing people often do is a lithium battery install, and 100 amp hours each of lithium battery, and it is 100% usable until it gets to 1 amp left, and it drops off rapidly. But otherwise, it gives you sustained power throughout the whole time. These batteries are expensive, but not near as expensive as lithium, and you can get 3 to 7 years of use out of an AGM battery, and you get 5 to 10 years of use out of lithium, depending on how you're going to use it. And if you ever need to know how to do the calculations to figure out what equals what, I have it over here on the right hand side. So if you need to know the watts of something like an appliance you might have, and it's on the outlet itself or on the plug-in itself, it tells you amps and volts, and you need to know the watts. Here are the conversions. So amps times volts equals watts. Watts divided by volts equals amps. Watts divided by amps equals volts. So that's the mathematical equation you would use to come up with some stuff. If you have in basic DC system, here are some basic things you might use in your rig. A 30,000 BTU furnace running is going to pull 8 amps per hour of use while it's running. The fantastic fan, about 4 amps per hour, depending on the speed you have it on. Your range hood fan, 4 amps per hour. LED lights, these little LED lights in the trailer, they pull 0.21 amps each. And your max air fans in the bathroom and the shower, 2 amps per each. The water pump is 17 amps while it's running. Your NorCold all-electric refrigerator is about 6 amps per hour, a little over 6 amps per hour per compressor. And there's one for the freezer and one for the fridge. And if you have the TVs, they're about 3 amps per hour. Radios 15 amps per hour, which kind of surprised me, but I believe that's because it's powering the subwoofer. And then a parasitic draw, just meaning if you turned everything off, you're still going to get about 2 amps per day loss just on a parasitic draw. And then you look at your basic AC system down here while on inverter. Now, I didn't talk about being plugged into shore power, so this is a battery class and a boondocking class, if you will. But on inverter, your inverter itself is about 10% of its capacity. So if you have a 2024 or newer Airstream, you're going to have about a 2 amp draw on it just being turned on. So if you're not using inverter outlets, please turn your inverter off. If you have a 2023 and older with a 1000 watt inverter, that's going to be at 1 amp draw, because it's about 10% of its capacity. A standard coffee pot, 1 cup coffee pot like this one here, is a 6 amps draw when it's being running. Space heater is about 13 amps, a small fan, 1 amp. Apple TV, for example, 2.5 amps. Charging a laptop, about 3 amps per hour. Hair dryer, 18 amps per hour. And then charging a phone is 1 amp. Now on this screen, you can see what I say in this example day of just boondocking, living on DC power. So if I turn 10 of my lights on for 4 hours in the day at that amp draw, it's going to be 8 amps per used. If I cook on the stove and turn on the range hood oven at 4.5 amps per hour, I'm going to use 2.25 used. Water pump to take a shower, do dishes, run the toilet, total of 30 minutes all day long, 9 amp hours used. Coffee pot, 0.5 amp hour used. TV watching for 2 hours, 6 amp hours used. And running my furnace at night for 4 hours or so would be 32 amp hours used. And if I have my my fantastic fans or max air fans on for 1.5 hours during the middle of the day when it's hot, it's 4 amps used, or 4 amps per hour, so 6 amps used. That would be 57 amp hours used total just on that basic day. And these are very conservative numbers, by the way. If I turn my inverter on using these same things plus this kind of stuff, so my inverter being on 6 amp hours used, a laptop, 1 hour charging it up, so 3 amp hours used, space heater for something, 39 amp hours used just for a few hours if I'm trying to run that space heater. Hair dryer for 10 minutes. This will be also 51 amp hours used. So combined, you have 108 amp hours used. If you had AGM batteries, you're starting to damage your batteries. And if you have lithium, you're now at less than 50% capacity. I hope this gives you some idea of understanding what in your trailer is doing what. And you need to do a power audit of your own trailer. And you can do that with a battery shunt. And I show how to do that in this video here. Continuing the discussion about solar, battery, boondocking, and all those fun things, I get asked all the time from people who are really uneducated, is the best word I could say, but not knowing or not understanding solar as a major factor when it comes to RVing. So people walking into a dealership and want to buy something, or coming into an RV park with a new trailer and not really understanding their solar system. The first thing is, what can you run on solar? And the answer is nothing. You can't run anything on solar, but you can recharge your batteries. Sun comes in on the solar panel, goes through the wiring, the solar controller, and recharges your battery. And the best way I can explain that is like a rainwater harvesting. So rainwater hits the roof, goes down through the gutter system, and refills a rain barrel. That's exactly what solar panels do for your battery. Everything else on the trailer or everything else in your drivable is powered by the battery. Nothing runs on solar. Everything runs on the battery. Solar panels, and what do you need? It really depends on how you plan to use your rig. So, if you know our rig, we have 400 watts on the roof, and then we have a portable panel that we can use, and that does a great job depending on the weather and the sun and all those things and how long we've been boondocking and what we're trying to do with it. If I'm trying to run the inverter and crank the microwave up every day and run the air conditioner on battery, which I can do, but very short periods of time, I didn't install this system to really run the air conditioner. I did it to use the microwave and all that stuff while we boondocked, and to power our other devices should we desire to plug them in. I can run the AC, but again, it drains a lot of energy. And I'm going to show you here on the screen what it really does. So I cranked up the inverter. I put on one of my air conditions. I have one with a soft start. So the main air condition, the middle one, or the one towards the rear of the rig, that's the 15,000 BTU air condition. I put a soft start on it. I did not put one on the front 13,000 BTU air condition. So if I crank both of them up, you can see here on the screen what it does. It pulls 2,000 some odd watts of power. And the amount of power it takes to power both those things at the same time will overload the inverter that I have, and it shuts the system off. And unfortunately I stopped recording before it shut down, but it did shut down. And if you notice the little red light there on my inverter controller, that means, hey, bad things are happening right now. It's about to shut down. But then I cranked it back up. I had to restart the whole system. And once I got restarted, I put on just the air condition with the soft start, and you see how much less power it draws. It's shocking how much less power it draws with a soft start from Micro Air. No affiliation, it's just a product that I really do love. So you can see that the power draw is totally different on the screen there based on one or the other. So if you do plan on using a generator to run your system, or you do plan on trying to run an air conditioner on battery, you pretty much need a soft start, particularly with the Dometic air conditions. Now, if you have that odd 2023, early 2024 models where it has a Coleman air condition, those are much more efficient and run pretty well. They don't draw as much power. I don't know about the GE, the new GE air condition. I'm not sure how much power draw they have because I've not personally tested one out to see the power draw. So you might need a soft start on those, but I'm not familiar with those enough to give an educated answer. While I talked about the generator real quick, I just want to hit that. I don't have a generator. I have never had a generator. in all 5 RVs that I've owned over the course of 12 years of full timing. If I'm somewhere where I really need air conditioning because of the animals or because of whatever I have going on, I go plug into a park, or I find a park where I can stay and plug into and get power. I try to be in places where I don't need to do that, and I can use either the furnace and heat the rig up, or I can just leave the windows open and the fans running. So I think we've been in Florida for maybe 6 weeks right now. I'm plugged into shore power right now, but out of the 6 weeks, at least 4 weeks of that, we have boondocked somewhere. Harvest host, boondock, staying in dry camping at an RV park or something like that. We boondocked as much as we can. It's cheaper. Typically, we get to stay some cool places by boondocking, and we don't have to worry about all the noise. So I don't have a generator. But if you are going to use a generator, get a soft start on your AC. If you have specifically the Dometic, again, I don't know about the Coleman or the GE versions of Airstream air conditions. The Trade Wind, I get asked about the Trade Wind all the time, and it has, I think, 600 watts of flexible solar panels on the roof. I'm personally not a huge fan of the flexible panels. And I say that because I look at those like I look at the old clear headlights. Over time, those clear headlights became milky and yellowed, and they lose their efficiency. So I believe, I don't know this for a fact, but I believe over time the plastic coating over a flexible solar panel will lose its efficiency because of oxidation of that flexible panel, and it could lose its efficiency. I don't know that, but that could be a thing. I also am not a huge fan of how they're attached to the roof. They're typically taped down. The edges of them are taped down with this really strong Durabond tape, but depending on where you live in the world, if you're going to get rainwater into there and it freezes, it expands and pushes the tape off a little bit. And then it rains again, freezes or snows or whatever else. So depending on where you live in the world, that tape can be problematic. So if you are purchasing a RV of any brand with a flexible panel on the roof, please, before you drive away from the dealership, get up there and look and make sure that the tape is secured enough, and inspect it often to make sure that it's taped down properly. I've seen a few base camps with the new flexible panels and all the solar on the roof of the base camps, and it was not taped down properly. So please, if you're going to get one of those with the flexible solar panels, please get up there and look and make sure that your solar panels are taped down properly. One more quick thing while you're boondocking, particularly if you have the electric refrigerator, the NorCold all-electric refrigerator, is the night mode. I mentioned this in the video. We forgot to turn this on one night boondocking. So there's a little moon button over here. You push it, and it turns down the energy. Basically, it stops the compressor from running as much, with a note that it's nighttime and it's cooler at night, and you're unlikely to open the fridge or open the freezer multiple times. So it turns off the energy. So if you are boondocking, that's a great way to conserve battery, is to turn the thing on. And we realize that if you're going from plugged in to not plugged in and back and forth, or if you haven't been plugged in a while, just set a reminder on your phone at whatever time you go to bed at night to turn fridge on to night mode. Also, one other thing, depending on what's in the fridge or what you're putting in and out of the fridge, like if you've gone storage, you pulled it out of storage, now you're putting a bunch of stuff in here, you may need to turn it down to cold to get it going. But once it's cold, it doesn't need to be on that super high cold. And I'll tell you how we check it. We have these thermometers here. You can see that the one in the freezer is well below freezing, and the one in the fridge here is pretty close to freezing, but the little purple zone at the top, and I'll put a link to these in the show notes. You can have whatever thermometer you want, but I want the fridge to be right in that refrigerator zone, which is a pretty small window. So right now I've had it down to 2 because it's been in the fridge zone, so I'm going to plus it up to 4 to get it right back in there. And if it goes to the freezing side, which I noticed the other day, I had some drinks in here and the can had chunks of ice in it, so it was too cold in there. So I upped the temperature by lowering the number, so to speak. But anyway, I want you to just know that check the temperature in your freezer and fridge, and if the fridge is too cold, let it warm up some. If it's too hot, make it cool some. So it will require some maintenance effort on your part, depending on where you are in the world. So humidity levels, outside temperature levels, inside temperature levels, and all those things like that will affect your fridge. Right. On the screen here, I'm going to put up a diagram that I made recently, and it talks kind of about battery, solar, what runs on what. And I hope it explains to you what we have going on here. So at the front of the rig on the right-hand side of the screen, you see the battery. Green coming out of the battery goes to the 12-volt DC system, and from the DC distribution panel, you power your lights, you power the fans, and you power the water pump. Those are things that are charged or run from the DC system. Then the battery goes to the inverter. If you turn your inverter on, then the inverter turns DC power into AC power, and then it will power your AC things. For example, if you have the ability to, your inverter will power the AC outlets or power the AC or power the appliances. Typically from the factory, the only thing your inverter is going to power is your few outlets that you have in the rig that are labeled inverter outlets. In this trailer and in some other people who's done aftermarket stuff, you can power the AC and appliances. But typically the only thing you'll be able to do is the outlets. And then if you plugged into shore power, you'll see that shore power powers the AC system, and it runs all those things. And it goes to the converter, which converts it from AC back to DC and charges and runs your DC system. And then you see at the top right there, your solar panels recharge your battery. So that's a basic understanding of what is run on what system. DC means direct current, AC means alternating current, if you want to wear. But I think that's a handy little diagram to kind of understand which does what and what you can run on what. Before you go spending a lot of money on solar and battery and all those type things, please understand how you plan to use your trailer. There's no need to spend $10,000 to $12,000 to upgrade all this battery and all the solar if you're always going to be plugged into a park. Also, if you're going to do that on occasion, just buy a $800 or $1,000 generator. You can get them that run on propane, and you can hook them right to the propane tanks at the front of your trailer, and that will power your rig on the occasion where you might need it. So understand, cost versus reward here. So no need to spend a ton of money on all this extra solar and all this extra battery if you're always plugged in somewhere, and you might occasionally need to boondock somewhere or occasionally park in a parking lot. Cracker Barrels, Costco's, Walmart's, and all those things. We do that too. So I hope this helps explain some of the questions I get asked quite a bit. If you have any other questions, please let me know, and I'll try to make a separate video. But at minimum, reach out to us via the contact us link on our website, or leave a comment down below, and I will do my best to get back to you as soon as possible. Thanks, everybody. Have an awesome day. Happy adventures. Now, let's talk about the giveaway. Some of you may have seen the video a number of weeks back where I introduced a new partnership with 1790 Knife and Tool Company. I am a huge fan of that knife. I have been carrying our special edition branded 13 Adventures knife on me for over a month now. I carry it daily. I do all the things you would do with a daily knife. I open mail, I open boxes, I got splinters out of my finger. I've done all sorts of things, cutting hoses, doing work on the trailer, doing work on the truck, or organizing things. I use this knife every day. It feels so good in my hand. I love this sound. When that thing opens, the thwack, so to speak, it opens so smooth. The bearing in here is super nice. I want to give you one. The Virum knife, branded with our logo on it. You get your very own special edition 13 Adventures knife. It's shipped to you in this awesome shipping case here. The way to win that knife is to go to our website, 13adventures.com, click on the Contact Us link at the top, fill out the form. Now, all you need to do is make sure that your email address is spelled correctly. Quite a few times people will misspell their email address, and I can't contact you back because I don't know what your email address is. But put your email address in there and say knife giveaway in the subject line. That's all you need to do. You don't need to type anything else. You can, if you want to, type a message or type your address. But what I'm going to do is the video is going to come out on a Sunday morning at 8. And 24 hours later, it's Monday morning at 8, I'm going to collect all those emails, put the names on a piece of paper, and draw them out of a hat. I will reach back out to that winner via email, and I will get your shipping address, and I will send you this knife. If you don't win, don't worry, there's still a gift for you. Every one of you can get 10% off any purchase on 1790 Knife website by using the code 13A10, 13 Adventures 10%. and that gives you 10% off any purchase. And as always, those knives are free shipping no matter where you are in the country, and it always comes with a Cover Your Six warranty. So no matter if anything goes wrong with this knife, 1790 Knives has you covered. I'm a huge fan of the company. I'm a huge fan of the guys who run the system. It's a small business made in South Carolina, and I'm very thankful to be partners with those guys. I'm excited to give one of their products away, and I'm excited for you to have a knife. Again, have a great day, everyone, and happy adventures.
Did you wait so good? Ready? Go.